Today, let's break down the adventures of Huckleberry Finn, the book that I've just read yesterday. This classic novel, or in this case, a small book or the modernized version by Mark Twain, is not just an adventure story. It's a deep exploration of freedom, morality, and society's flaws. We can divide Huck's journey into four main settings. That is for my own opinion, each marking a major turning point in the story. Okay, so for my first story map, there are two main points here: St. Petersburg and the cabin, or we could name it Huck's Escape. Our story begins in St. Petersburg, Missouri, a small town on the Mississippi River. Huck is taken in by Widow Douglas and Miss Watson, who try to civilize him, teaching him manners, making him wear proper clothes, and sending him to school. But Huck, being independent and rebellious, doesn't like this life. Things take a turn when his abusive, drunken father, Pap, returns. Pap doesn't want Huck to have an education and locks him up in a cabin, deep in the woods. Huck realizes the only way to escape his father's control is to fake his own death, so he sneaks out at night, leaves behind pig's blood to make it look like he was murdered, and sets off down the Mississippi River. Okay, for the second one, Jackson's Island and the Mississippi River, Huck and Jim's bond. After escaping, Huck hides on Jackson's Island, a small piece of land in the river. There, he meets Jim, a runaway slave who is escaping from Miss Watson. Jim dreams of reaching freedom, just like Huck, but much more higher stakes. The two sets off on a raft, floating down the Mississippi River. This is where some of the novel's most famous scenes happen. They encounter a wrecked steamboat, where they overhear criminals plotting murder and barely escape. Huck also dresses as a girl to sneak into town and gather news, only to be found out by a suspicious woman. This part of the story is the heart of Huck and Jim's friendship, or their adventures. At first, Huck sees Jim as just a runaway slave, but as they travel together, he starts to see Jim as a human being and a friend, something society told him not to do. So, for the third one, we got small river towns. This is where scams and betrayal happen. As they continue downriver, Huck and Jim encounter two conmen, the King and the Duke. Those are their nicknames. The swindlers join them on the raft and pull scams in different towns, tricking churchgoers, performing fake plays, and worst of all, pretending to be the long-lost brothers of a dead man, to steal their inheritance. Huck, realizing how wrong this is, secretly helps the real family and exposes the fraud. But just when he thinks he's done with them, the King and the Duke betray Jim, selling him to a family for a reward. This moment is a huge turning point. Huck now faces a moral dilemma. Society has taught him that helping a runaway slave is wrong, but in his heart, he knows Jim deserves the freedom. So, for the last one, we got Phelps Farm and the ending, or the Great West. The rescue of Huck's final decision, that is the name of it. Jim is now held at Phelps Farm, and Huck is determined to rescue him. Coincidentally, the Phelps family mistakes Huck for Tom Sawyer, his old friend. When Tom himself arrives, instead of making the rescue simple, he turns it into an over-the-top adventure, adding unnecessary obstacles just for fun. Eventually, they manage to free Jim, but not before Tom gets shot in the leg. In the chaos, it's revealed that Jim was already freed. Miss Watson had set him free in her will. Huck is really relieved, but also frustrated at all the trouble they went through. In the end, Tom recovers, Jim is truly free, and Huck faces another choice. Aunt Sally wants to adopt and civilize him, but Huck refuses. Instead, he chooses to head west, away from society's rule, continuing his journey of independence. That is all from me. The story map is really simple. Thank you for hearing. God bless y'all.